failure is the best way to learn. Failure is the best way to make mistakes and deal with it. I get it's uncomfortable. I get it sucks. I get it could have resulted in you losing a lot of money, reputation, face. There's a whole lot of emotional issues that also go with failure. And one of the things that you just need to be aware of is it's just an experience that you need to go, what are the lessons I can learn from here, and how do I not repeat it?
Yeah, you know, it's your boy. Yeah. Alright, listen. I started out on the pavement. Bet you thought I wouldn't make it. Wondering why you ain't did it? Cause you only working that day shift. Yeah, success is contagious. We're winners on.
And welcome back to another episode of the P.O.T.N podcast, a podcast dedicated to all you people, motivating you, all of you listeners, to go that one step further in your lives. I'm your host, Takura, and today I am joined by a fantastic guest. He's a man of many talents. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's a social engineer. He's a global world traveler, a proud business owner of Chat Fortress and Behaviour Sales, a book author of a book called People Ignorant. He's a lover of coffee, cycling, and all things technology. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm extremely excited to welcome Ben to the podcast. Ben, welcome to the podcast, and thank you for joining me today.
Hey, g'day! It's my absolute pleasure to be here, man. I'm with the Prince of the North. Like, that could be anything. Could there be anything better I could be doing right now?
I wonder as well, but you know, we're in a great space right now, and we're about to make an amazing video for all of you listeners and viewers who are watching this episode. And you know, without further ado, we'll start the podcast interview with an icebreaker. And Ben, please tell the listeners a bit about yourself. Where you're from, what you're currently doing, and what you like to get up to in your free time.
So I'm going to start with the free time because that's the fun stuff. So I am passionate about cycling, and I enjoy cycling and just challenging myself in a physically new way. So it's not uncommon for me to ride 100 miles. So in the world of kilometers, it's 120 odd kilometers, give or take. No, I did that math wrong. So that's right. I had to double the other way. I'm like, because when I talk to a family in Australia, it's like, hold on. They're like, well, yeah, because when I cross 60, anyway, it's always fun. They're like, they have to do the math, and it makes life enjoyable. So, so that's what I get to do on the fun side of things. I've always been passionate and a lover of technology and communication and being an effective communication, because it started all because I sucked at communicating. And there's still lessons I learn on a daily basis about how to be an effective communicator, how to get my message across, how to display my value and my worth, and not be in those situations where you feel like you've been taken advantage of, or where you were trying to articulate something and you weren't able to get your point across, get your message across. And that's that constant development of myself has led to the development of tools and resources to be able to facilitate that in others. And that's what's so exciting.
Awesome, man, and that's an amazing intro. And like I like how you also you the way you started, you captured one of the elements you were not so good at, and automatically, like, I'm here to develop a way to improve myself in that particular area. But not only that, but set it up for other people to then also benefit from it as well, which is the generational wealth thinking. You're thinking of yourself, but you're also thinking of the next generation who are going to impart or embrace that knowledge and use it and then apply it as well.
Yeah, well, and it all starts because, like, when you grow a business, right, you grow your sales team, you grow your communications team, you grow your customer support team, and it's like your evolution from a side hustle to a full-time business, and then you need more people to handle the workflow. It's like, how do you effectively communicate with the team? Because if it's ineffective with the team, then the wheels, as they say, fall off the bus, and then the businesses have issues. You have, if you've got multiple partners in the business, you can have partner issues, and it can be even more of a challenge if it's a husband and wife team, because, well, when you go to bed at night, you're still dealing with that business issue or the argument you had earlier, and you may end up sleeping on the couch that evening. I'm sure some people can relate to that situation, right? Because yeah, you may have made the wrong choice, and that other partner's in their mind, and they're very set in their ways when you don't agree with them, if that makes sense. So the thing is miscommunications happen. So it's how do we deal with that? How do we effectively roll with that? And how do we effectively improve our communication to help us influence others and empower others, inspire the action we want them to take, right? So,
Yeah.
and if you've got a way, you've got to start with self-awareness. And from self-awareness, you can improve. It's really what we believe.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And I think would like to break down a bit more about the social engineering side and what I found. I think it's you say it's called, is it people hacking? I think. So
Yeah,
if you'd like to
they
obviously,
call it people hacking. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. If
So
you'd
one of
like
the
to
things
break that
is
down.
yeah, so social engineering or people hacking is really hacking human behaviors. Like, how do you hack yourself to get the results you want? Or in the cybersecurity world, it's used as a phrase of uh, you. It's easier to hack the person than it is to hack the computer system. Sorry. So
It's okay.
if I can hack the person, I can get access to the computer system and the network. And it's one of the reasons why they call phishing emails. So those fake emails you get that are saying, hey, somebody logged into your bank and they want you to click the link to enter your username and password. They're not hacking the computer system. They're hacking the user. They're trying to extract from you your username and password. So
Mhm.
there's an art and a science to facilitating that. And that's what they call that social engineering and that people hacker, because you got to be aware of how do I instantly influence you? How do I gain trust and rapport over you so you reveal sensitive information that maybe you shouldn't be sharing and do it in a
Mhm.
way that you don't even realize you're sharing it? Like there's an art to this, and when I research this and learn all about this, I learn about the tactics that the CIA used at black site interrogations sites to influence that, or the tactics they teach spies to elicit information while drinking a beer in a bar or having coffee with somebody, right? So they're all
Mhm.
communication skills and resources.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And when you break it down even further, I think the whole email concept. I could tell you a funny story. I don't think it was funny at the time, but like when I was on internship with the company I was working for, there was an email that went around that said, "Click here to view this video." What? And it was written like really formally, like the a way in a way that work emails would look, and it we ended up finding out that it was a cyber attack on the company, and like more than 60% of people who work in the company clicked on the video link because of where it came from. So if it came from, let's say it came from my boss, like, and I clicked the link, I only clicked the link because of obviously it's come from my superior. So I might as well click the link because there might be something useful. And then I think 2 hours into the workday, we figured out, okay, it's a hack. Everyone needs to change their passwords, their login details. We need to know the severity of the breach and all that stuff. And it's like it's not like in the movies where we went into a total tech shutdown, but there was like a kind of data lockdown internally, just to see how much of access was actually uh, given, or like penetrated from the initial hack and all that stuff. And it was quite fascinating to find like how the person who had initially developed it got it all sorted out, and like you said, they hack the person, not the system. So in a way,
And,
because they, yeah, god,
yeah.
sorry.
And like that, it's so easy to do because most people aren't even aware of how much of your information is already online. Like there's websites you can go to where you can enter a person's email address, and it
Hmm.
literally shows you everywhere where their email has been compromised. So it tells you their email address, can tell you their address, it can tell you their phone number, you can tell you the passwords they use, and you can literally see the websites they use the same password, or you can see the strategy they use to create their passwords. Like you'll
Mm.
see the password that says January 123, and then it might be February 123. So they've had to reset their password in February. So it's in like so you can see there's a logic into how they're creating their passwords because everything is
Mm.
behavioral. Everything is we all are humans, and there's multiple things that run us at a human level, right? We all operate in the same way.
Hmm.
So once you understand what those rules are, well, you can then exploit those rules, right? So it's like, how do you do that? And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who exploit them for malicious gain. and that's part of the problems.
Mm.
So one of the things you want to be aware of is like, how are all these things running against you? So how do you respond to these situations that you aren't even aware you're doing? So there's a whole world that we can dive into there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it may as well like be linked to your current one of your current businesses right now, Behaviour Sales, and how you how do you and and obviously your colleagues go about a mentally triggering people into obviously making the better decisions for themselves, improving communication, and also like I think from a sales perspective, I think selling themselves, let's say they want to build their personal brand, but like how they can then convince the next person that I'm the best option for wherever they want to work, for instance.
Yeah, well, fascinating questions, and the reality is I'll answer it in a two-phase approach, because
Yeah, sure.
um, the first thing that we do is we help people to identify a person's personality type based on their email address or a LinkedIn profile. So, if you can identify somebody's personality, so you can predict their personality style, you can predict how I'm likely to respond in a certain situations, and we follow
Mhm.
the DISC methodology, DISC. And based on that, we can go, hey, you're a D or you're an S. And so in that situation, I can determine what your stresses are, what your motivators are, what are the drivers and needs that you prioritize in your communication and in your life. And then
Mhm.
based on that, I can build authority and connection and rapport with you significantly faster than if I didn't know that. So we don't have to spend 15 minutes talking about the weather or the what most salespeople will say, that you got to talk about this, you got to talk about that, you got like people don't have time for that anymore, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is if I can identify that, I can also save myself a lot of time and energy from trying to stalk you online, which is what a lot of people do. They go and stalk people online, where all I do is I literally take somebody's email address, and in
Hmm.
15 seconds, I have their personality profile come back to me. And from that, I can then go, okay, this person is X. So that means when I approach them, I have to talk more slowly. I have to be more detailed with my answers because they're looking for a far more detailed response. Or I'm talking to a person that wants to speak quickly, and they want fast action. They want to be talking about the action and the results, or they want to be talking about the task. Like knowing that difference is allows you to then present your information the way they want it, not the way
Hmm.
you want it. And that's what a lot of people do wrong, specifically in sales, is they
Hmm.
present the information the way you want to hear it. And therefore, you're only connecting with 1 in 4 people.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. I'm actually curious if we could give it a try with mine. We could use me as a test subject to see how it would work. I don't know if you have got time to do that at this particular this early in the podcast episode. It would be interesting. Maybe I'll share my email address in the chat box, and then towards the end of the episode, we'll have a look, and we'll discuss whether the
Yeah,
accuracies and inaccuracies.
if you share your email or LinkedIn address with me, I can then generate it for you and show you what it looks like.
All right, cool. I will definitely do that. If I can get myself sorted out. But without further ado, we'll move on to the next question, and I'm pretty sure everyone will be interested and intrigued to find out more. And you seem as a very passionate person who loves technology, who loves physical activity, who helps loving people as well. But can you break down your passions and what you love most about doing them on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, well, I'm always inspired about how we can improve our performance and productivity, right? And do more of what we want to do. And that's one of the big things that I really try to achieve is how do I improve what I'm doing by 1% every single day? Because if I can improve by 1%, that's compounding growth. And a lot of people, and I know I personally made this mistake that, you know what, I've got to improve by 50% in one go. And the problem is you're looking for that home run hit, as they call it, and you miss what they call base hits, like stealing bases to actually become successful, right? That's a baseball analogy. So the thing is small wins actually create a bigger success in the long run, and small wins will actually give you momentum, and that
Mhm.
momentum is what people need to actually create success in sales and in business today. Because if you aren't creating those small wins on a regular basis, well, you get pretty disenchanted when you experience a setback or some failure or something like that happen in your life, and you may just want to give up. And that's really not what you want to do either, right? So I'm passionate about creating that improvements, helping others do that, and creating the systems around that to help me really get what I want out of my life, right?
Yeah.
How I want to live, how I want to travel, the resources I need to facilitate for my family. And that's really what's driving me now, is to be able to create that and achieve those goals as quickly as possible. Because we've seen what happens in the last 24 months. Like, we don't know how the world's going to change. We don't know how things in front of us are going to be. So you've got to take advantage of the opportunity while you can.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree with that. And it's one step at a time. Like, I think in many ways, it, a lot of us, we tend to look at the big picture and we try to go for that big. It's like the essence of going fishing and trying to catch a whale. Like, you don't
Mhm.
become a better fisher if you're going to try and catch a whale straight away. You have to build up. You have to go from the little fish, the tilapias. I'm not sure what fish are there available in the US right now that you can fish, or in Australia, for instance. But it's a gradual progress where you build up, and you once you get better in small pieces, you gain that confidence back. And I love the fact that obviously you're building pathways for people to better themselves, increase their confidence, and identify where they can improve. But as we progress through the episode today, can you also share where people can find you if they're interested in engaging in your services?
100%. They can just go to behaviorsales.com. And if they hit up at behaviorsales.com, there's a lot of resources. We've even got a free community where they can check out and learn about everything we're talking about. They can ask questions, they can engage with our people. And that's really the best resource I can provide for them.
Absolutely. And I think it's something I would definitely give a try and give a go as well. Because I think there's areas of my side that I also want to improve. Like, I've also got a brand that I have alongside the podcast that's kind of integrated into the podcast. And at the same time, I'm sending out a positive message that obviously this podcast is to uplift people, give people hope, share experiences like from yourself and how you've overcome things and how you've inspired and you're motivated. And then also have some dapper merch to put on, and you can say, I represent a brand that's all about progression, making a difference and all that stuff. So I'll definitely give that a go. But as we move forward, I'd like to ask you a question that give you a sense of self-reflection. But who would you say, or how many people would you say have inspired you and made a positive impact on you as you?
Hundreds of people over the years have inspired and empowered me. And there's people who have I've learned valuable lessons from the mistakes that have been made in a business relationship, or a relationship that has happened, or a mentor that I've worked with. Or so it's not necessarily even from the positive. Some people go, "Oh, I get this guy excites me, and I love what they do," or this lady, or this couple. But I over the last few years, I've actually stepped back and looked at the bigger picture, and you know what? There's actually valuable lessons I can learn from that experience that didn't work out, and
Hmm.
that is actually more valuable than sometimes the positive stuff, because it forces faster change. So my biggest tip to people out there is like, hey, there's a lesson to be learned from absolutely every experience. And until you learn that lesson, it will repeat itself. So the thing is, you need to be able to identify that and take stock in that. Like, one of the best things you can do is every single day, at the end of the day, or if you only do it once a week because you're so busy, like, what is the three things you learned this week? What is the
Hmm.
three things that you are committing to do better next week? And just look at that, and then you can see those lessons and take stock in them, because they're valuable to you. They could
Hmm.
save you from making $100,000 mistake or $1 million mistake in the future. But if you don't become aware of what's going on, then you kind of dismiss those values. And a lot of people will look for the instant tangible from a lot of things, when some of the stuff isn't tangible. Like, you've been making the same mistake because you've got this need that is from a belief pattern that you have, but the belief is wrong. The belief
Hmm.
is incorrect. So the belief is actually limiting your success, your wealth, your happiness, your joy. And that's what you need to be aware of. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. You've gone over, and I think you've also answered two of the other questions I was actually keen to ask you as well. So kudos to you on that, and it really does make a difference. From what you just said, and I think in many ways, when from what you said about the until we realize that you know until we recognize that we're doing something inconsistently, we're going to keep making that mistake and keep going through that same emotional cycle of why did this go wrong, etc., etc., etc. And then once you realize that, um, you ultimately break the cycle, and I think that's what it's all about. Like, you want to break that cycle, and you want to learn, and you want to constantly progress from that. And you know um that's a very, very good breakdown from that. You've encompassed inspirations to how you've what the most valuable thing about failure is as well. So kudos to you on that. So we'll move on
But
to
did
the
you notice? Did you notice the entire time we've been speaking, I actually shared a link
yeah.
with you already of your personality type and profile.
Oh,
So I don't know if you loaded that.
yeah. So to everyone listening and watching, Ben has basically generated a report on what my personality is, um, using my email address. So we're gonna go through that in a second now, so that we can actually have a look at who I am as a person compared to the report. Let's see.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it tells me that you're what we call an S style personality, which is someone who's steady. And in that personality, we would say that there's three words that would describe you. So
Mm-hmm,
inflexible, deliberate, and disciplined, right? So when
mm-hmm,
you make a decision or when you decide on something, you're like committed, right? So that's why it's
yeah.
saying inflexible. And if I want to convince you, the only way to convince them is by showing them the examples and ample proof. What do you think of that?
Well, I think it's it's a mixture. I think I do have a bit of discipline, but I think I do incorporate a bit of flexibility into how I go about things. I do agree on the point where once I make a decision to pursue something, I don't second guess that. Like, I think it's very important for ourselves. Like, once you make a decision to commit to something, you go ahead with it, and you go through with it all towards the like through to the end of the until you get some sort of result. Like, I think that's the most important thing, because I think and I think this is a cliche as well. Like, we tend, like, I've noticed myself as well, like going back some years when I was still a bit younger, go into something, try it, and then see that it's not like I'm not getting anywhere, and then ultimately give up instead of you know continuing along the process to see um something happen, because some things take longer to develop than others. So I think I had the Amazon mindset, instant next day delivery kind of thing. But in all essence, a lot of these things, they take time to build.
Yeah. So one of the things is, so how would you say this works? So we've predicted that you
Mm-hmm.
are fast paced and task orientated. So once you do things, you do them quickly, you take action,
Mm-hmm.
but you're always focusing on the task
Mm-hmm.
at hand, and how to get the task done. Would you say
Mm-hmm.
that's correct?
Yes. Yeah, that's pretty correct. Yeah.
Oh, it's like, and all this from your email address. So, what about this? So, it tells me that your needs are challenges, choices,
Mm-hmm.
and control. So, when I'm communicating to you, I need to display how what I'm communicating is going to facilitate your needs of giving you the right challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the right choice because it gives you control over your future, your destiny, or the thing I'm trying to sell you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
fit, right, wrong. What's your response on that one?
I mean, I think you're accurate in a way, because and it's fascinating that you managed to get all of the information from my email address. And I think that goes to show you guys that with what Ben's doing, he's using data for the right reasons, and to put us in positions where we realize opportunities that we can take on board, and invest in ourselves as well. I think I would like to do another one, but we'll probably do it offline. We'll try with my LinkedIn profile after we're finished. But we'll move on to the next
That
question.
connected to your LinkedIn profile as well. So it pulls from both.
Oh,
So it convert, yeah. So based on the way that the language in your LinkedIn profile is that. But the whole point of it is like, if you have that information, I can now more authentically connect with you
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
a better intention and purpose, right?
Mhm.
Which makes life easier because, and therefore you can achieve things. But it also then strategically allows you to analyze, well, who am I communicating to? How do I need to communicate to meet their expectations? And at the end of the day, for in the sales world, it helps you close sales faster. That's the
Mhm.
promise.
Absolutely. Yeah. 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 I need to obviously get a little bit more. I think I need to obviously see this profile and read it in depth as well for myself. I think this is very, very, very exciting to see how
Well,
we can.
that's part of your personality trait, which I said, right? Convince them by showing examples and ample proof. You like the details. You like to see how it all works. You like to see the insides of it, and you want to pull
Yeah.
it apart. Don't worry, I'll share this with you after email, and you'll be able to read the 20 pages of information that we provide.
20 pages. Wow. That's ample, man. And if anyone else is interested in getting into this or finding out what their personality traits are and to see how accurate it is, I recommend you guys visiting behavioursales.com. Behavior sales, not behavioral sales. Behaviorsales.com. Okay, Ben. So moving on to the next question, can you tell our listeners, and you can use personal examples of this, of how you've overcome challenges and managed stresses in periods where things haven't gone your way?
Yeah, well, there's a myriad of them. I know one of the biggest ones is then I was involved in a business, and I had the partner literally decided they didn't want to do it anymore. So here I was living in a foreign country that I just moved to for this business, and then the partner just everything kind of imploded. So I'm sitting there going like, what am I going to do? How am I going to make some money? How am I going to get the bills paid? And at the end of the day, you just have to kind of pick yourself up and go, all right, mistakes going to be made. I got lessons to learn from this experience, and I need to make sure that I don't repeat this process. So you kind of got to pick yourself up and go to work, and start having conversations with people. One of the best things I can recommend to people is always be promoting, always be engaging, always be connecting with people, because if you're always in touch what people are looking for, what they need, you never know when you're going to come across the opportunity to fulfill that, or when you may have to step back and fulfill that.
Hmm.
And you always got to be filling your pipeline of business. Like you got to always be attracting business. One of the worst mistakes I used to make was I would get one client, and then I'd drop all my marketing activities, and I'd be focused 100% on that one client and that fulfillment. And then what would happen is we'd be done with that one client, and I'd be like, oh, how do I find another client to pay the bills in a week? Like it's just this constant like stop start. And and when I started to realize that, hey, I need to think of myself as a shareholder in this business. How would a shareholder operate this? How would they look at this perspective? And yeah, so I've had personal lows of literally you go into the ATM and you're not even sure if you're going to be able to get $20 out to be able to continue moving forward to pay for lunch or what have you. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's at sometimes you just got to do the hard work.
Your answer. It's one of those that I've thought about myself internally. Like if I was to start a business with somebody else, right? Um, and when you explained that, I was like, thank God, at least I've got some sort of insight into if I do end up going into a joint venture with somebody and things don't work out, what the I won't say exit strategy, but what the next steps would be in terms of managing the situation, especially if the
Yeah.
if the other person decides to pull out. Like I think I've always wondered what that would be like, and obviously you are a living example of somebody who's actually gone through that. So I can no longer wonder
Yeah.
what somebody who's witnessed.
It's even worse when you put 2-3 years of work into it and then literally you lose everything. You end up with absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
lose possible investments, you lose everything, and you're like, okay, I've lost all momentum. And one of the most expensive things you can get in business is momentum. Like
Mhm.
when you get something off the ground, you get things starting to move. You got people coming towards you. People start to go, like, oh, this is what you do, and they start referring people. And then all of a sudden, when you've lost all of that and you've got to start from scratch again, it can be very tough. And like you have to realize that it's worth putting in the effort today. And some days you've really just got to wake up and go, you know what, I've just got to do this today because hopefully tomorrow or hopefully in a week, like this will be done and I won't have to do this step and I'm going to be able to move to that next level.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I agree with that. And would you say, obviously, in relation, obviously, to the next question, what do you think, in line with what you just said, is the most, or what are the valuable things that people can take out of going through failures that they never really get a chance to look at?
Failure is the best way to learn. Failure is the best way to make mistakes and deal with it. I get it's uncomfortable. I get it sucks. I get it could have resulted in you losing a lot of money, reputation, face. Like there's a whole lot of emotional issues that also go with failure. And one of the things that you just need to be aware of is like it's just an experience that you need to go, what are the lessons I can learn from here and how do I not repeat it? And sometimes you literally have to ask yourself, what do I have to learn from this situation? What could I have done better? And it's great to take notes of that. In my weekly journal, I literally take note of those. What are the 3 lessons I can learn this week? What are the 3 things I can improve? And like looking back, because that way you go, hey, what mistakes did I make? What do I need to improve? How do I improve it? And that way you can look back in your notes. You go, oh, that's right, I did try that. I did this happened this way. So yeah.
That's some sound advice, guys. So you hear Ben's a man that's talking from experience, and he's gone through this more than once or twice, or he's probably gone through it a lot. And we all tend to
Yeah.
go through those cycles, but it's about understanding what our winning formula is to go to overcome those challenges. And I think the most important thing is learning and identifying where the weak points are and working on those weak points to make sure that next time you have a way of overcoming them.
100%.
So,
100%.
so obviously, the next question, obviously, it's quite a broad question, but it encompasses everything you're doing in terms of what you do in your free time, what you do as for work, and what you do, obviously, like to upskill yourself. But what would you say excites you about the future going forward?
I'm really excited about the growth and the potential of this. So I'm excited about the ability to be able to travel and really be able to start to connect with people and build an audience of people who want to become better communicators, people who
Mhm.
want to strive for that next level performance. There's many products out there like that you buy and you get involved with, and they're at this one-time use. So yeah, you read this book, but I'm really focused on building a community of people who are striving to be better every single day. And that's
Yeah,
not something that you set and forget. It's not something you read. Like when we're talking about like how do we learn from conversations we all have on a daily basis, and how do we get smarter? How do we get better? How do we connect with different people? How do we connect with people from different races, religions? How do we just be better at like authentically connecting with people and getting their story and empowering them? Like that's what really excites me right now, as well as being able to. I did 8,000 miles on my bike last year on my for my fun. So I want to see if I can crack 10,000 miles this year, and I've got a lot more international travel.
absolutely. Those are a lot of exciting things. Building that community up of better communicators. I think that's a crucial thing, and one of the most underrated skills in the world, being able to communicate across clearly and effectively and concisely. And also, on the traveling part, I don't know if you've got any locations in mind where you haven't gone and touched people, or when I mean by that, I mean like people you've positively impacted to join um the community and also become um patrons of behavioral sales and all that.
Yeah, well, obviously, we'd love to be doing a lot through Asia this year.
Mhm.
So there's China, Japan, hopefully visit Hong Kong, and then probably a few other parts of Europe would be pretty good too.
Absolutely, man. And wish you all the best with that, and can't wait to hear about all the other testimonies that you actually you go through and also you complete. And if you're pushing for, are you pushing for 10,000 miles this year, 15,000 miles on the bike?
Yeah, 10,000 miles. So yeah, that's a lot of kilometers.
Yeah, just I won't even go even like into the whole trying to convert thing, because obviously remember we had that conversation before earlier on, and it can be a real brain number.
Exactly, exactly. Either way, it's a lot, no matter how you cut it.
Exactly, yeah. So we'll move on to the next question, and obviously this one's an interesting one because it'll get a better insight into how you function, how you tick, and what gets you going. But what would you say helps you stay focused and productive when you're getting things done?
I always like to have headphones on, listening to music. And one of the big things you got to really be aware of is cutting back distractions. I see a lot of
Mhm.
people who will keep alerts on their phone going. They'll accept interactions and one of the interruptions. And one of the things you got to be aware of is like what you're training yourself to do is accept that interruption is more important than what you're working on right now. And as a result, like if that's the case, then why are you working on what you're working on? So the thing is if you really want to get somewhere and make a difference, you at times you literally have to close off the world. You got to turn off your alerts. You got to turn off alarms. You got to put your phone on silent. I literally have my phone on silent and I took face down because you know what? Right now, I don't care who's going to call me because that's nowhere near as important as being 100% focused right now. And when you can start like creating moments of pure focus, you'll be surprised at what you can get done. A lot of people are just too easily distracted with things and with life, and they allow that to control them. And as a result, it keeps you very small.
Yeah, 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 and I agree on the whole alerts thing, and you know, I think in many ways, I myself as well have never actually taken that into consideration. That if you're prioritizing your notifications, what you want to get done, you won't get done, and
Yep.
I guess it's also got a deep bedded psychological effect because anything and everything that could happen because you're so used to getting distracted by your phone, you automatically hope and wait for your phone to buzz or to ring or something like that, which isn't obviously a healthy way of digesting what's going on. So I like to also promote like a concentration method. You might know it. It's called the Pomodoro technique. So you're
Yeah.
working in typed intervals, and for anyone who's interested in trying, if you've got a whether you've got an iPhone or an Android, there should be a functionality on your phone where you can essentially block yourself off from the world. I think in many ways it could be flight mode. Um, and then obviously you time yourself for about 2 hours and you say after 2 hours I want to get this much done. And then obviously after the 2 hours you take a 30-minute break and then you go back again and so on and so forth. And you'll start to see that when we do things consistently, we are mentally training ourselves. It's like we're going to the gym for our brains. It's one of those
100%.
that I also picked up, and I was like, wow, this is actually legit. So that's very true what you said, and I encourage everyone to take Ben's words on and apply them effectively. So we'll move on to the next question as well, Ben, and this question will give you a great insight into how you view yourself as an individual and what you would want to pass on to the next generation. But what would you say are your strongest qualities, right? And from your qualities, which qualities would you like to pass on to the next person who's willing to learn from you?
Um, uh, always, there's always opportunity out there. One of the best things you got to be aware of is what you say hell yes to or hell no. As they say, look,
Mm.
one of the biggest lessons I've learned is like I used to say yes to everything, but I was saying yes to everything that even things that I should have been saying no to. And those no things would like rob me of my fun, they'd rob me of my passion, they'd rob me of my joy because I'm doing things I thought would be good for me to do, but like they weren't getting me close to my goal. They were actually sending me sideways or sending me backwards because I'm like putting myself out for others. But every time you
Yeah.
do that, it comes at a massive cost. And you just got to be aware of the ramifications of that and the cost of that. And I learned from a mentor of mine, he said, you either say hell yes or a hell no. And if it's not a hell yes, it's automatically a hell no. And that's something that takes a little bit to grasp because the thing is how many things in your life are you saying yes to that
Mhm.
you really shouldn't be?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it's one of those where it's I guess it's what you said, the awareness and being able to determine what's really valuable. And I think if we use my example from the behavioral sales, my report, right? I'm an individual who wants to see the data, the evidence before making a concrete decision, right? So, but I'm pretty sure for other people out there, they would need to do an assessment on what they're being presented or what they want to go into, and they need to obviously make a pros and cons list, and then determine whether it's which and weigh up which option is the best one to go with. And it's basically business decisions. I think in many ways we may not look at it, but our lives are essentially like a business in a way, because the
100%.
the better we manage ourselves, the better we function, the better we perform, etc., etc., etc. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. 100% agree.
So we'll move on to the next one, and obviously, like from what you've just said, are there any skills like this you're looking to pick up in the future going forward as well?
I'm always looking to improve my ability to communicate. So I look to improve my business and my communication by 1% every single day. I would love to be able to read more. I consume more content, but more importantly,
Hmm.
implement what I learn. So it's like, okay, how do I implement this? So one of the things I'm doing is I'm looking forward to actually slowing down on how much I consume and focus on, okay, how do I implement from this? Because a lot of people are like, yeah, you should read 100 books a year. Okay, what's the point of reading 100 books a year if you don't implement one single thing you learn? So it's just like, hey, one of the things I've been doing recently is taking one book and listening to it 3 times. So making sure I'm literally like imprinting it in me and then being able to take it from there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. No, I understand that. It's like quality over quantity kind of a situation where you don't want to be just that person who, at the end of every year, or you say that I've read, let's say, 500 books, and then you get asked on book 395, what was the book about? What did you learn? What did you take from the book? I think, like you said, when you read a book, you're looking to take out concepts and things that you can use to apply in your life and alter your thinking or improve your thinking, because obviously, like, it's all well and good, but like it's the application of it all comes back to application again.
100%. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So in closing, Ben, what inspiring words would you like to leave all of the listeners who've taken the time to listen to your episode today, who are looking to improve themselves?
So we've made available a whole lot of resources that people are ignorant. We've got a whole community, and at behaviorsales.com, like they can literally reach out and we're like, we can teach them everything they need to learn. We share a lot of resources for free to help them effectively communicate, empower others, understand more about themselves so they can make change. So I'd highly recommend that. Just go to behaviorsales.com. You'll be quite amazed at some of the resources that are available to you. And if you want to take things to the next level, by all means, reach out, ask some questions, and you might be surprised at what becomes available.
Absolutely, absolutely. And with that, I'd like to thank you, Ben, obviously for taking the time to sit down with me today. It's been an honor, to, obviously, to learn more about what you're doing on your side. Obviously, a technology lover. You love traveling the world. Cyclist. Maybe we might see you in the Tour de France one day. Fingers crossed, or any other I think in the state in New York, they should have like biking competitions like on an annual basis, don't they?
Oh, they have biking competitions every weekend, so I'm involved in more
Oh,
than enough of those right now. So it's pretty cool, but never the Tour de France. Like, yeah,
oh,
that's out of my league.
you never know, man. You never know. All of these other ones may be like what you said early on. You want to build up to being able to take on the big one. So you never know. You might actually be ready without knowing that you're ready. But appreciate that, and appreciate you coming on and sharing your wise words, and sharing your positive moments, and useful information with everyone who's listened in. And for everyone's benefit, if you can share where people can find you and reach out to you if they suddenly get into a communication jam board, say, where would be the best places to reach you or your business or anyone you work with?
Yeah, just behaviorsales.com. They can go there. There's our email, there's live chat, there's support, there's a whole community there that you can go and join and ask questions and get interactions. So there's plenty of resources there. Yeah.
Absolutely, guys. And if you're looking to improve your communication, be also sure to read the book People Ignorant, written by the author himself. Like, if you're listening, he's on the podcast right now. But if you're watching, he's right in front of you. So if you want to, obviously learn the concepts of communication, how to understand body language, and all of those things, please do have a look at or have a read of People Ignorant. And obviously, with that note, we've come to the end of another fantastic episode here on the P.O.T.N podcast. I'd like to thank my guest, Ben, for taking the time to sit down with me today. He's joining us from New York. Is it New York? Am I correct? I think you've muted there.
Sorry, Tampa, Florida. So Florida in the
Tampa
US.
Bay. Tampa Bay. Oh wow! I'll have some questions for you after that, but but that was it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to everyone for listening and obviously watching. If you've watched the podcast episode here on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. This was GeoSaven. And all the other media platforms where you can find this podcast episode. And to leave you with a bit of a motivational tune, I'd like to leave you all with the sounds of L3 by 3T. Please enjoy, and until next time, be well and take care.
Yeah. First year, 2016. Young nigga had big dreams on his own, though. Need to get cream like Wu-Tang. Had a lit team, they stayed down just when shit seemed like it's over when them hoes said it. But Marvel movies got post-credit. Scenes taught me patience. Had a girl back then, should've known she probably ain't shit. We dodging pay slips, don't need bosses. Can't quit on these thotties that hang with these grown men with wives and kids telling them lies then. Go bless someone's daughter, she probably faking attraction. Asking she'll say the vibe and that ain't no vibe, cause that's a transaction. I count feelings subtracted. Fuck as long as it balance. When your mom said greens are good for you, bet she ain't mean tossing no salad. Shawty ill. Wait, I'm not a kid cause I ain't tried it, but the doctor just ain't prescribed it. To all the hoes been on my dick and my touches on my other's ass. Wait, last smash in the ratio, hit the bed looking like a panda. Lady feeling like I'm Santa, gifted. Kick the witch out my life now, feeling like a curse has been lifted. And she probably gon' hit shit. Friends puff pass, only problem is they smoking on this stick. Gave me brain so dope, my mind stone like vision, nigga. Fuck your life. One look at me, you won't trust your wife. One thing about these girls, they lust for hype. One is my phone up, she's sample like. She like, Mr. 3T, can I suck your vibe? No, I don't even know you. What the fuck you gon' do? Think dick will help you go through what you're going through. Slim, thick chick, wish your mama warned you. It's a jungle, don't make friends with serpents. They gon' bite you to death, that's for certain. Make you cut all your friends off on purpose, so you have no one to call when you hurting. That's savage, but what matters? All a nigga really wants an ass fatter. Then his last girl attached to a bitch that's fatter. Take her to the top and she might just tip the ladder. Dark days, long nights, I was wishing on a Mustang. Back then was a student, Tux had a couple shorties I must bang. Met a girl, sparks flew, love bomb combustion. Wasn't really love at first sight, it was kinda more of a lust thing. But few months later I thought the love was everlasting. So wrong, life taught me you only reap from the land in which you sowed on. Foundation is important, you should know who the fuck you dealing with. She held me down when she felt love, but what would happen when the feeling split was a switch up. She brought me out a bigger picture, taught her how to suck a dick up, then she did it with another nigga. Damn, sorry, fuck it, girl, I really wish I had a nickel. For every time you would say that, I would probably own a Maybach. You had me thinking I shouldn't have ended things with a shawty I love way back. First love, that's L1. Real love, but it fell through, left my heart.